Hey, welcome back to the Daron and Earlewine podcast. We're at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. There's cars on the track. Listen right there. Prep for the Indianapolis 500. And I'm at my favorite place talking to my favorite people. This episode with my son, Ty Earlewine. And here's what you're going to hear in this episode. Are you a road course person or are you an oval course person? We're not talking about racing. We're talking about your calling in life. You're going to love this episode. Here it comes.
Created on purpose and for purpose.
Hey, welcome back to the Daron and Earlewine podcast. Your host, Daron Earlewine, and we are still live here at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, preparing for the greatest spectacle in motorsports, Indy 500, coming up in a couple weeks. And sitting down with my middle son, Ty Earlewine. Ty, welcome back to the podcast.
What's up?
I thought you guys are home. You're home for the summer. Cole's home for May. We've got to get these episodes done. We've recorded at home. We've not yet done one in the studio, but I figured, why don't we make our favorite place on earth the studio for the day? So we're back here at IMS. And so we're catching up. We're a year removed from our first sit down with this family episodes. And we checked back in after you'd been to college for a couple weeks, maybe a month, and kind of checked in with everybody. Yeah. Now we're back a year later. So finished your freshman year at Grand Canyon University.
Yep.
Out in the wonderful, beautiful Valley of the Sun, Phoenix, Arizona.
True that. Yeah.
So first question is, looking back, what did you get right about your preparation and thinking about college? What did you get wrong?
I feel like I got a lot of things wrong. I'm not gonna lie. Went there, switched majors before the first quarter was even done. Kind of numbed myself. I was like, this distance isn't gonna bother me at all. I'm gonna be fine. Got there and I was like, this is a lot more difficult than I thought it was gonna be. When you're at a place so far away, you don't have immediate access to family. It's I can't drive home. You know what I mean? I can't really do anything like that. So I think I just kind of undervalued a lot of things going into college. Things I think I got right though. I think just my rooming situation, the guys I live with were great. My friends that I chose they're all great dudes. We'll get probably into that later, but I just feel the connections I made were great. And I think after I did get adjusted into the distance and everything, I feel kind of had that moment of all right, we're comfortable now. I'm not gonna sit in this comfortable. Let's see how far we can take this. Finding a church family out there, finding a church out there, and just different things. Starting the Bible study with the guys in the second semester. So I think I got some things right, but I'm glad I got some things wrong too, because it definitely changed kind of how I viewed myself and viewed college and everything. So I think that was the big thing, was being okay with being wrong with a lot of the things that I anticipated about college.
Do you remember a moment where you realized holy crap, I'm 2,000 miles away from home, of that moment of I got this wrong, this is different? Was there a moment that hit for you?
Yeah, for sure. I think the moments, the big moments were, you and mom leaving. That was tough. I mean, I knew that was going to be tough from the beginning, but that was the moment of in a parking garage, say goodbye to your parents, and then turn around the corner and it's wow, I don't see my parents again for weeks. That was definitely something that kind of riled me a little bit. And then I think also things of first time I got sick, first time being homesick, just the situations where it's if you're close to home, you're all right, let me go home for a weekend. It's nope, you got a flight, and came back the 7-week mark or whatever, and it was you got this date on your calendar and you can't change it. You got to wait till that day. That's a positive and a negative for sure, because the positive is I had to figure out how to take care of myself out there in different ways, but the negative is also you got to wait. You got to wait for those days to come home. So that's definitely the moment of holy crap, I am 2,000 miles away from my family. You open the Life 360 app and you get to see the entire country, because I'm all the way on the West Coast and you guys are all the way, the Midwest. So that was definitely something of man, I'm out here.
Yeah.
So
on the positive side, was there a moment, first semester, second semester, where it started to kind of feel right, or feel where Phoenix kind of started to feel like home, where you're like, yeah, okay.
Yeah, for sure. Mom's not gonna like that you said home,
Home away from home, a place that I feel comfortable.
But yeah, feeling comfortable. I think, like, I felt it in the first semester for sure. A little bit, I started to feel it. Wasn't really recognizing it though. And then second semester, remember getting back for second semester. You know, you had your friends. You realize they're great guys. You start building relationships, and I'm like, okay, like, this is my school, this is my, like, and then I have home back home, but, like, it did definitely start to feel like a family. Like, I felt like the guys were building on each other and making good relationships, and it was just, that was the thing, is the distance, you know, the distance won't change. I'm always, you know, whatever, 2,000 miles away, but being able to build, like, a connection and a community there, that was the biggest thing when I came back for that second semester, when it was like, I'm doing the same thing I did, you know, a couple months ago, of like coming back to school, flying out from being home for a couple weeks. And then it's like, but I know who I'm going to see, and I know what I'm going to do. That was the biggest, that was the biggest change of when I got back there, of like, you know, I'm not going in there with just Nate and Jackson. You know, I get to go in there and I've got all the other guys, Noah and Jay and all of them. So that was just a huge change also, where it's like, I'm going back to see, you know, my school family. Yeah. So that was a big change.
Let's talk about that, because I think for anybody listening who maybe their kids are about to go to college, or maybe there's some kids watching, you know, that are like, they're about to go to college. One of the things I think that we also, you know, Julie and I would have to admit that we got wrong is, I think we underestimated the quality, and maybe not the quality, but the amount of community we have here and you have here. I mean, thinking about, like, you went to the same school system your whole life. You had some friends since, I mean, kindergarten, second grade, all the way up. And you had an amazing group of friends here. And it's like, I think we were confident, like, Ty's great with people. He's going to meet people. It's going to be great. He'll get, you know, and maybe overselling the positive. At least as a type 7 on the Enneagram, I always oversell the positive. Mom probably had a more, realistic perspective. But man, that was more difficult than I thought it was going to be for you, and I think it was more difficult than you thought it was going to be. Kind of take us through, like, what did you have to do, and what were some of the struggles of, like, forming, like, okay, I've got to find a new crew. What was that like?
I think the biggest thing for me, when I literally talked about it with my hometown buddies. We were over at Maddox's house, and it was me and Maddox and Adam, and we were talking about it. And the biggest change for me was, like, I went to school, and you said, yeah, same school system. I've been playing baseball and football with these guys forever. You know, I've known them since the third grade. And when I went to school, I was like, I need to find my new Adam, my new Maddox. And I think the biggest change for me was, like, my new friends are my new friends. Like, I can't make old friends. Like, I have so much history with these guys. Like, we don't have to talk for, you know, weeks on end, and our relationship's the exact same. We're still super close. And that was the huge thing. It's like, I have an opportunity where I made the decision to go somewhere that's not in my community, that's so, you know, tightly knit and strong. And I had to, like, completely change my mindset of, like, I am starting new, which means I'm actually starting new. Like, I have to, you know, make those new friends and make those new connections. And once that was the thing of, like, you know, Noah is Noah and Jay is Jay and all the guys that I met out there, that was just a huge change, because it was like, and I started to appreciate everybody a lot more. Not saying I didn't appreciate them in the beginning, but it was like, when you have a buddy that you've been friends with, you know, for 10 years, and then you're like, oh, you know, this guy doesn't do this as good as this guy. And it's like, no, like, you know, they're all amazing people, and I'm so glad they're in my life. But they're all in my life for different reasons and for different timelines and everything. Like, these guys are, you know, going to be with me through college and all the life change through that. And then, you know, my buddies here, like, we grew up together. They made me who I was when I walked into GCU, you know, with that mindset you guys had of, like, you know, I'm going to be fine, I'm going to do this. And, like, I was eventually, you know. Also, the Lord provided. My best friends in college were literally a dorm right across the hallway, 2 steps and you're there. Open door policy at all times. You know, if anyone needed anything, we always had it. So I think that was just the biggest change of, like, appreciating how many friends you can have and not comparing anyone.
But how did you know, Did you know what you were looking for? Because think about, like, you went to a huge high school, 4,000 people, right? So it wasn't like you went to like a small little school and then it was like, oh my gosh, so many people. But I mean, you went from 4,000 to 25,000.
Yeah.
So did you ever think this, like, like actually think it out, or did you just kind of sense it? Like, how did you know this is what I'm looking for these new friends?
Obviously, like, there's like the faith side of everything. But I mean, sometimes I struggle with it too. Like, when you first meet somebody, usually the first question you ask them is not like, hey, how much do you love Jesus? Like, how much does Jesus impact your life?
Yeah,
like, that's usually not the best, first line. It takes a lot of courage to do that too. And sometimes it can come off a little bit like weird sometimes when you ask that. But it was really just finding like commonalities between us all. Like, everybody played high school football or some sort of high school sports. We all had a sport that we all like agreed on. Everybody liked watching sports. So that was a big thing too. You get there, you got college football every weekend, you got the NFL starting up. Like, we were like every Saturday and Sunday, we're sitting in our living room for hours on end watching sports together. That was the thing, is like, when I was looking for my friends, I was like, if these people are going to support me in life, I need to be able to enjoy the conversations with them and connect with them.
We got some commonality.
Yeah, like, we got to have some commonalities. Like, I'm not saying that like people can't be completely different and still be great friends, but it's like, if you're gonna live on top of each other for 8 months, like, I would at least enjoy my friends to like video games and like sports and have faith and all these things. And it's like, those all came in different levels of life and the year. But I think that was the biggest thing, is when I was looking for buddies, and I got lucky that the people right across the hallway were those people. But yeah, those just, and you talked about it too, like, the commonality of life is just so easy when you can like connect and network with people. And like me, when I switched majors, Noah was the same major that I was, so I started being in the same classes as Noah in the second semester, and I started to be closer to him. We started doing homework together. First semester I was with Jackson in the same classes. Me and Jackson got super close after working all summer together. Like, that was a relationship that I didn't think was even going to take another step, because we'd been friends since, I mean, you and Brent were friends in college, so like, we're in the same kind of situation where we've been friends for our entire life, but we lived in completely different worlds here. Like, he's at Heritage, I'm at HSC. I'm always playing sports. He was playing soccer. Just like a very busy schedule of life. And whether it was working all summer together at the warehouse, or then when we got to school and the whole first semester we had classes together, doing homework together, doing all that stuff together, like, that relationship was such a core for me, because it was like, I have so many commonalities with Jackson because of our childhood friendship, but I never would have expected what it is now. Yeah. Like, I talk to Jackson almost every day. Like, that is not something that I was doing, when I was 17, 16 years old, which I've just really cherished, because he is really strong in his faith, and he's helped me so much this year with my faith and all the things that we've done, and the Bible study and the different things, and, inviting me to church every weekend with him and Brenna. Like, it was just, he was such a huge factor of it, because it's like, when you think about, like, oh, this is my good friend, we've been friends for so long, like, he's my friend, and then you're like, but can we really get more friends? Like, can we be more of friends to each other? And it's like, yeah, we opened an entire new chapter of our life, and I would say in the last, coming up on 365 days, like, I think me and Jackson have a longer chapter in 1 year than we ever had the 18 years before that. Yeah. Because I've talked to you about it, like, our families would hang out, and me and Jackson would always extend those hangouts and spend the night or whatever. But then when you're living with them and, you're functioning with them, keeping the room clean, going to class, all this stuff, helping each other out, like, I would say this last chapter, for just using Jackson as an example, like, and same with Nate, I was friends with Nate for all of high school too, and that was a great rock for me too, but I was always around Nate, and that was just such a different thing, where I got to experience a really cool change in my mindset of like, this guy does have way more, and it was great.
So there was, we're not throwing stones at anybody else, but there was also an element that was the positive, find those commonalities. But you had a season there, maybe for the first month or so, I remember us talking, where you had to figure out, like, who do I not want in my crew, right? Of like, man, I've got to make, because basically I'm starting over, right? No one knows me. I got two people that basically know me here. Yeah. I could create any kind of life I want, right? And mom and dad aren't there to tell me, don't do this, and don't do that. Was there an element where you also were like, met some people where you're like, man, this this person's probably not going to be a core member of my community. What was that process like?
Yeah, that was definitely true. And I think, for anyone going to college, like when you first get to college, you got your welcome week, you got your first weeks of, class and stuff. Like any person that talks to you, you're like, this could be a friend. Because I don't have anyone.
Right.
Like I had Jackson and Nate, and that was it. Like I didn't have anyone. And then I think, that just like once you judge a book by its cover, once you start reading the book, reading who that person is, you kind of start seeing it. And like, we always joke about it with all the guys that are like our core group now, all of us. We started with like 20 people of like, this is our friend group, guys, girls, everything. And it was like, it kind of just started funneling itself out. Like I really didn't have to do a lot of work. People started, hanging out with different people that they were more close with, and those friendships became mutual. And it was like, if I see you, I'm going to say hi. Like I didn't have any bad blood with anyone, which is obviously great. And there's not like any, like you said, like it's not throwing stones. Like there's no really stones for me to even throw. Everybody was so great, but it did kind of just start figuring itself out when it was like, we always were in the room. We always had the door open. We always had people coming around, but it was just so different in that way of like, people just started, filing out in their own ways. And that was the biggest change.
Hey, sorry for the interruption here in the podcast, but I wanted to take this moment to invite you into something. If you've ever been in a place in your life where you've just felt stuck, you felt like maybe you're just spinning your wheels, you've been thinking that there's got to be more for me. I listen to the podcast all the time and I hear Daron talk about on purpose and for purpose. I have to discover my purpose. Well, that feeling is right. You do need to. And I want to help you. I want to help be a guide for you to step into who God's created you to be. And that's the purpose in the design of what we do with Rogue Collective Coaching. So if you're curious or listen, I'm not curious. I know it's time for me to take action. Here's your call to action. I want you to go to roguecollectivecoaching.com. I want you to click the button that says book a discovery call. I want you to jump on a 30-minute conversation with me. Jump on the phone. We'll talk about where you are and if Rogue Collective Coaching is your next step to help you to become who you were born to be. roguecollectivecoaching.com. Book a discovery call. I can't wait to chat with you. Let's get back to the episode. We now have on-track action here at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. So if you're driving right now, you're not being passed by an Indy car. It's just in the background.
It's us.
They're not on the treadmill with you. It's us at the track. Another big change for you, and I want to hit on this, is, and I don't think, we're talking about what you got right, what you got wrong. I don't think it's not something that you got wrong, but, because of the time change, Mom and I got a text message at like 2 a.m, which was like 11 to you, which freaked us out. Like, is something wrong with Ty? And there was not something wrong. There was something very right. But you got it about a month and you were like, I chose the wrong major.
Yeah, for sure.
I think God has something different for me. Well, take me through that process, man.
So basically, like, I had been trying to be like an outlet and faith for my buddies for the whole first semester. And then, me and you had talked about a little bit of like...
And you went as a physical therapy
major.
major.
Yeah, I went as PT, pre-PT. So I was taking a bunch of biology and sciences. Also realized I don't enjoy learning about science. I mean, to each their own. It's cool in some ways, but it wasn't my core thing. Funny enough, we were just sitting around the living room, me, Noah, Jay, and Nate. And I finally asked the guys, I was like, guys, I think I should switch my major. I think I should kind of work in some sort of faith-based thing, in some sort of business thing. Like, what should I do? And they were all like, you're not a physical therapist. Like, you speak to people in a different way. You carry yourself in a different way. So those guys were honestly the guys that almost made the decision for me because they were like, if you feel this itch all the time that this is what you should do, why are you not scratching that itch? Why are you not going and diving into this? Like, you've already taken a leap of faith to move across the entire country to come to this school, and you're not enjoying classes, you're not enjoying homework, you're not enjoying any of this, and you would enjoy it so much more. Yeah. And I think that was the thing of that's when I knew those guys were really good dudes. They looked me in the face after knowing me for a little over a month, and they were like, you are not this person.
They knew something about you that you did. We talked about this a little when you made the change, but them seeing, man, we see this in you and this is what you want. There were elements we talk about when we're trying to find, obviously in the podcast, we say it all the time, you're created on purpose and for a purpose. So we're trying to step into that. And I think that's the conversations I have around the country all the time is this is a major sticking point for people figuring out, like, why was I freaking put on earth? Like, what am I supposed to do?
Yeah.
And so they saw that in you, but I'm guessing, and we've talked about it, there were other times where maybe we call them like signposts, right? Like little crumbs on the path where God was like, hey, maybe over here, maybe over here.
Yeah.
Like what was some of that? Because they said that and you knew it was true, but you could also look back and go, yeah, there's been a story arc here.
Yeah, I'd say it was less of like crumbs on the road and more like full course meals on the road that I was just not, eating. I was in a place where I took 20 eighth grade kids to camp almost back-to-back years. I was a big leader at FCA. I got asked to speak at FCA. I got asked to speak at Young Life. I'm going back to FCA on Wednesday at the high school. Like, I'm super excited about that. Like, even my old linebackers coach at JC texted me, and I made the joke about I don't want to be the kid that keeps coming back to my high school and being weird. And he's like, well, if they're having you back, you planted a seed here, you had a foundation here. So that also just a huge thing of now that I sit, once I made the decision, I was like, yeah, I saw all the signposts, but I had made this decision in my mind. I was like, yeah, being a physical therapist, working in sports, this is all what I want to do. And then I was like, that's cool, but that's not what I'm supposed to do. That's what I want to do. If you ask anyone, if you ask any kid in the world, they're going to be like, what do you want to be when you grow up? Astronaut, NFL player, MLB player,
sure.
Whatever it is. I want to be in a rock band. Whatever their interest is, that's what they want to be. And I think that was a moment of me. It was that's not that. Those are my interests, but that's not my foundations. My foundations are I've been given, and humbly saying this, I've been given a gift of I can speak to people. I can do this. I enjoy the way that business works and how all that flows through business. And I also enjoy, the faith side of business, interning with you this summer, getting to see all the background stuff of there's a lot of admin work here to do this, but the foundation of everything we do is faith. And I think that I don't know how I didn't realize it earlier is I would go into tests and homework of these things, and I would be so nervous, but I would go speak at an event and I'd walk in there and I'd be like, oh. They're like, are you nervous? I'm like, no. Mm-hmm. I'm really fine. I mean, I'll figure it out. If I stumble over my words, I'll figure it out.
Yeah.
I think that was the biggest thing. It's when I did make the decision, I was like, what was I doing?
So when you look back at some of those full course meals that you weren't eating, but you did, but when you look back at those different ministry, type environments you were in, did those experiences were they really fulfilling to you as you look back on them? Sometimes you can go look back because there could be other people that were I helped out with Young Life, or I did that, and it was cool, but I didn't feel like it brought my soul to life. Is that something you look back on of man, the way I felt and what it meant to me being a part of those kind of things, they stood out to you?
No, yeah, 100%. If I put it in a school scale, if I was to go and take I was in ACP chemistry my senior year, if I was to get an A on that, oh, sweet, yeah, I got an A. That was great. I did good on that test. But then I would go and, I'd hang out, once a week for an hour and a half, 2 hours with my 15-year-old eighth graders, and I'd come home and I'd be obviously a test and that are different,
right.
But I'd come home from that, or I'd have to write a little talk for those, and I would be sitting there and I'd be I'm having so much fun. Literally earlier today when Cole was doing his podcast, and I'm sitting over there, I'm looking over my sermon from yesterday, and I changed half of it, and I'm I still want to talk about the same things, but I want to change things. I had so much fun doing it. I'm going in, I'm looking through, I'm talking about Romans 12, I'm rereading Romans 12, are all these points making sense? That's so enjoyable for me to do. I love doing that.
Yeah.
And I don't love, even if I had to go make a presentation about, and it happened at school too. I had a big essay in my Christian worldview class that GCU has every kid take, 3,000 words or 2,000 words or something like that. And the only assignment the entire year that I was I want to do this early.
Yeah.
I was, I did it Monday a little bit, I did a little bit on Tuesday, took Wednesday off, did a little bit on Thursday, edited on Friday. And that whole week, my guys were oh, are you exhausted? Are you tired? Is this essay a big burden? And I'm I'm having so much fun writing this.
Yeah.
I get to break down my entire life, all my beliefs and all this stuff. I think in my mind a little bit, I was kind of comparing it all to church.
Okay.
It was this hour, I got that church feeling, that church high. It's just cool. But then I was I felt like that was what that was. You know, you went to your church thing, you got that feeling, and then, you know, you had to go work on your faith by yourself, and then you got that feeling again next week. And now I'm like, why would I not, like, this isn't like it's not a drug where it like gets less effect as I keep going. Like, why would I not want to be on this church or this Jesus high all the time? And then I did switch into that, and I was like, this is so great. And it's like all the guys would always tell me, like, you know, thank you for, you know, leading the Bible study, or thank you for this. And I would always tell them, like, please stop thanking me. Like, I love doing this. And I also had plenty of time. I was only a business major this semester. It was extremely easy. And then next semester I'm adding that theology minor. But I told him, I was like, please stop thanking me. Like, I'm doing this because, like, I love to do this. Like, I love to see you guys come, and I you know, I messed up, those guys messed up. Like, you know, I wouldn't do the readings, they wouldn't do the readings. Everybody's hour and a half before Bible study, everybody's in their room, you know, catching up on all the chapters. We did Matthew, we did Romans, we did Proverbs. Those are the three that came to my mind. For the whole second semester, like, we did them all. And like, every week people would be like, oh my gosh, we have Bible study, I haven't read it all. And I'd be like, I'm the leader of the Bible study, bro, and I haven't read it all either. Like, this is clearly a problem. But it was so fun, and every day, you know, I got to sit there for 20, 30 minutes, put some worship music on, get out my notepad, and be like, what do I want to do today for the Bible study? And every day I'd be like, oh, what's the coolest thing we can do today? I'm like, all right, let's everybody pray for one another. Or let's pray as a group over everything. Or, you know, let's sit for 10 minutes in silence to some worship music and let, you know, some guys catch up on the reading, or some guys journaled, or like, there was all these different things that people did. And that was always like, I get done with Bible study and I'm like,
amped up.
Yeah, I was like, that wasn't even work at all. Like, that was fun. Like, that was the same thing.
What I love about it too, man, is paying attention to, it's like, of being able to go through your journey and pay attention to what gives me the most life, right? And not like, yeah, but man, this job would make more money, or this would be, people would think this is more prestigious, or whatever it is. But coming back and giving yourself, you know, permission to go like, no, what has been the thing that has brought me most to life? And like, I love, you know, some of the stories you told me about, you know, the Bible study, of how like it you know, being catalytic, and you using some of, you know, your creativity of like, we could do this and this would connect with this person, whatever. So I love that part. So you switched to business, minor in theology for next semester. And then I want to talk a little bit more about the desire to start the Bible study, because you guys didn't do that first semester.
No.
So
No, not at all.
Where did that come of, like, man, I think we want to put something a little more intentional together for our crew? Where did that come from?
I think a little bit of it for the first semester was a little bit of fear. Like, we all didn't really know where we were in our faith, and everybody didn't know how people would react if we were like, hey, you guys want to do a Bible study? Like, we didn't know if people were going to be like, no. Like,
Right.
that's so, like, we don't want to do that. Why would we do that? The crazy thing was, and I hadn't even asked him if I could say this, but Jay in the first semester had 2 or 3 encounters of just like unconditional love from the Lord. Like, went to 2 events, random people came up to him, was like, I want to pray for you, like, right now. Someone tell me I need to pray for you. And Jay was so confused, and he's like, I don't understand why people are doing this. And one night I'm sitting, and I finally get enough courage, and it's maybe just me and Noah sitting in his room, or a couple other guys were in there, and I was like, Noah, should we start a Bible study? And Noah's like, yeah, why don't we have one? And I'm like, I don't know. What are we doing? So we made that decision to start the Bible study. First week, we've got, 5 guys, whatever. It's our core group. Cole's still playing the cross, so he's there for the first little bit, and then he's got to get out of there. And then, I get a text from Andrew Shirts, and he's like, hey, what are you guys doing? I'm like, hey, we have Bible study today. I'm like, hey, bring your boys. Then we're at 10 guys. And then the guys right next door for us, Garrett and Seth, every week, a bunch of these guys are coming to our room on, Mondays, and they're like, hey, like, what are you guys doing? Like, we're doing a Bible study. Like, feel free to come. And then they show up. We're at 12 guys. And then we, everyone keeps connecting in different ways. And then, we had to change the time because, we wanted to fit Cole in for the cross schedule, and Garrett had works. Like, we were figuring out all these things. Sure. And then once we started it, everybody was like, we're never not doing this. Like, next year, like, the guys, right now, I literally sent a text today. I was like, hey guys, sorry I'm a day late. This week, we're trying to do it in the summer. I don't know how well it's gonna work. We're kind of doing a test run for one summer. We're in Psalms So it's short chapters, try to get one in every day. I've been doing pretty good. I missed like a couple days, like 2 days last week where I had to double up on readings, and some of the guys said that they're, getting busy in the summer. But the thing that we talked about too is like, when we decided, the main question that everybody asked us at Bible study was, where are you living next year? What room? And are we doing Bible study? And I was like, we're in this building, we're in this room, and obviously like we will host Bible study at our room. We're going to figure out a way, we'll have a bigger space. Hopefully we get more people. And then, from day one, since it started, it just skyrocketed. Yeah. It was so great. Same with Cole, like the Easter thing. We had you've seen my room size. It's a great dorm situation, but we had 18 dudes in there. Try and like fit everybody in this living room area, which for 18 full-size men is not a very great thing, but absolutely unbelievable Easter Bible study. It was so great. And the crazy thing about, for a second, I'll talk about the Easter Bible study, was everyone talked about how, because we did the readings, so we were in Matthew reading through all that, and the guys were like, I don't think I've ever sat down by myself and read the story of Easter, which changed so many things. And it was like, then you got to make the personal decision, because all of my friends were from out of state, minus Logan and Andrew, who lived still an hour away from home, and they were like, you got to make a personal decision to go to church on Sunday. Like, your mom's not waking you up. She's not picking out your outfit. Your dad's not waking you up. Whoever's taking you to Easter, if you're going to Easter, whatever. Like, we had to make a personal decision of like, this is the time we're going. We got to find a ride because nobody had a car. Yeah. Like, we had to do all these things, and all the guys were like, this is by 100 yards, a whole touchdown better than any other thing that I've done for Easter. Because when you go into like the big events of Christianity, it's like you got Christmas and Easter, and Christmas as a kid outshines Easter. It's a true thing. Like, you get presents and you get all this stuff. Like, it is as a kid, Easter is the lower of the holidays. And that was just so crazy, because it was like, how in the world our Bible study and everybody reading changing Easter for us so much? And that was just so cool to see. When it's like, and then that was the only Bible study I was worried about all year. So I was like, did I make the right plan? Are we talking about the right stuff? Are people going to show up? I'm sitting there, we started at 5 o'clock, and literally like 5 o'clock hits, and I'm like, we only have like 8 people here. And it's like, doesn't matter the people, same impact. We always talked about it. Like, no matter if there's 4 people at Bible study this week or 18, it's great. Then everybody started flooding in and everything, and I was like, this is going to be great. And it was so awesome. Yeah.
So you also, you reached out to us to talk about the potential of interning with Blackbird Mission this summer. And, shame on me, Mr. Purpose Development guy, that I didn't see that sooner and instigate that conversation. But what was the whole process of you thinking, like, you know what, like, maybe this is what I should do, for my summer?
Little part selfishly is I had no job, so I was like, I need some way to find work.
And I don't necessarily want to go back and work at the warehouse.
No, again. I mean, I loved working at the warehouse. I loved working under Joe. Joe's the best boss. He's great. But I was like, I need somewhere to work. And then when I had that decision to switch majors and change my life around, I was like, well, this kind of works great. Like, if this is what I want to do, I can get some experience. And I know when I first texted you, you were like, I don't know how it's going to work. I don't know what you're going to do. I don't know what your job would be. Like, I don't know how you fit into the company or whatever. And now I got, shadowing opportunities. I'm helping with worship on the water. I'm doing all these other things. And it's just it's so weird to see that, because it's like, when I would tell people like that I would meet, they'd be like, oh, like, where are you working this summer? And I'd be like, oh, I'm working for my dad. And they'd be like, oh, like, what's your dad doing? I'm like, well, I'm working for my dad, but, he works for a nonprofit ministry called Blackbird Mission, whatever. Gave him the whole rundown. And everybody was like, so you're working for your dad, but, like, you're not. And I was like, yeah. Like, I mean, my dad has this opportunity that I can use, and it's a great outlet. Like, life is connections, and obviously you're my father, so very big connection. But it was like, and I could have went and interned for Young Life or whatever, and I just felt like, because at that time, too, I was, and still am, business is the major, and ministry and theology is the minor. Yeah. So I was like, I want to see the business side of the world, and I want to see the ministry side of the world. And I felt like that's when I asked you, like, I feel like this was the best opportunity for me to be able to see both worlds and how they are, because, you know, however it ends, say at the end of this summer, I'm like, you know, this is exactly where I'm supposed to be, this type of work. Or if I get to the end of the summer, I'm like, you know, I'm just an all business guy. I still love the Lord, but I just should work in business. Or I get to the end of it and I'm like, business is cool, but I want to go full in on ministry. So it's like, I think that's also the thing of where I have 3 exits to go on now. And that was something where I was like, why would I not take advantage of that?
Well, and I think it's, you know, a little bit unique. You know, obviously if the, you know, faithful podcast listeners know that, you know, a year and a half ago, we started Rogue Collective Coaching, where we're doing purpose development coaching in businesses now all over the country. And so it is this kind of unique opportunity that God's invited us into, where we're doing business as ministry, right? Which is, and it's beginning to shape my mind and new ideas that I had never really thought necessarily this way before about, like, I'm beginning to really feel like the marketplace is really the frontier of real kingdom work. Not I shouldn't say real. Very authentic kingdom work, which is unique for me because for 25 years I've just been in nonprofit or local church work. Yeah. And so I remember we did sit down your senior year and, you know, like we did with Cole his senior year, and we went through the spiritual DNA. Yeah. And I remember we were having lunch going through one of your last sessions. And I was looking through all your results and I was like, man, Ty, like, and we hadn't even started Rogue Collective yet. We were just, I was dreaming about it.
Yeah, we talked about it,
But I thought, I think this is what this is going to be. I don't know yet. But I remember saying to you that day, like, dude, looking at how God's created you, like, I think you could become a phenomenal coach with what we're doing. And I'm excited, man, for this summer because, you know, you're just kind of shadowing me on some Zoom calls. We're going to get to travel to Wisconsin and Oklahoma. You're going to get to be around business leaders as we're doing purpose development / you know, ministry with them. And man, I'm excited for you to be able to walk through it just in a super curious way this summer of, like you're saying, like, okay, God, is it more like 80% business? Is it more like 80% ministry? What does that look like? And I'm just excited to help you kind of walk through and continue to find, like you said, like, what are those, you know, full course meals of fulfillment and joy that God has for you? So you've got to sit through just a few coaching calls over the past week, and then you're going to run all of our worship on the water events that we do with Pub Theology and Black Permission this summer. What's your take been? And we got to go to one speaking engagement. Yeah. We got to go to a hospital call. Yes. We really mixed it up that day.
That was a fun day, you know, but also like a lot of prayer that day, obviously with everything that happened that day.
Yeah. So I mean, you're 2 weeks in. What are some things you've noticed or kind of pricked your interest as we've just been 2 weeks in?
I think, you know, sitting in on some of the coaching things has been great. And the weird thing about some of the coaching things is like some of those conversations that you have, you know, with people when you're coaching are conversations that I've randomly had with my friends about, like, you know, like what their life's telling them right now and how they should change it. And, like, you know, I had that conversation the other day of, like, you know, sometimes when people tell you things that are really hard to hear, like, you just don't speak. Like, you're just an outlet. You just take it in, and then you, like, can say kind of some things, but, like, you don't need to focus on saying the right thing. And I think that was the thing of, like, coaching is, like, there's been so many times where I've been sitting in your coaching things and, like, you feel like it's such a serious conversation. And then one of the guys from one of the companies, like, you know, cracks a joke, and it's like, oh, like, it's fine. Like, we're being vulnerable, but, like, you know, we still have this side of, like, where you're not taking a test on who you're supposed to be. Like, you're figuring it out because it's like, you know, I'll be vulnerable and I'll say I'll say the things that I want to say. But at the same time, like, I'm just having a conversation with the guys. And then with the speaking engagement, what I thought was cool is, like, you know, I'm excited to go to different places also because, like, even being there on Wednesday, you know, I'm not a part of any, like, I'm not speaking with you. I'm in the corner, I'm filming, I'm doing whatever, I'm doing these small things. And it's just so cool, like, I don't have any religious, I mean, this is gonna sound kind of crazy, but, like, I don't have any, like, religious impact when I'm there, but the amount of people that would come up to me and ask me how I've been, or ask me how I'm doing, or how excited I am to work, like, all these things, like, it was so cool because I'm like, I'm really excited to be able to, like, also get, you know, a firsthand view of your world, but also kind of get to see, like, how people view me, because we talked about it too, like, you're 48. You've got all these years in the church. You got all this experience. And I'm a 19-year-old kid, you know, deep in the mud, still trying to figure out how to live my life. And these people are still seeing me as like, this is a person. Like I feel like that's also a big change. Like I'm still a kid, you know, I'm still a teenager, I'm 19, but like people have come to me in such a different way that I really enjoy. I made a joke to mom about it the other day, like how just my hand gestures have changed. Like people, when they come up to me, like, you know, when you're younger, people come to you, it's like, yo, give me a fist bump, or like, you know, like dab me up or whatever. And it's like, everywhere I go now, it's like, hey, nice to meet you. And it's like, for me, I'm like, oh, did I shake that guy's hand right? Like, it's like, you know, you have that subconscious thought in your mind, but it's like, I love it because it's like, I like to be professional. Yeah. I like to, you know, get things done and do things. And, you know, my Enneagram type, like, I'm 8.
You're a 9.
9. So it's like, you know, I can do things, but it might not be in like the orderly fashion of like how Cole and Mom do things. Like, I'll have a to-do list. Yeah. But there's no numbers there. They're all dashes. It's like, get your laundry done, read your Bible, like do these things. It's like just a to-do list. And it's just been so cool, like to see how my personality works, and then to see the like, even though I'm built this way of like an organized person, I still have this gift of like professionalism when I need to be. Yeah. And that's such a cool thing. Is like, I mean, I don't know how many times in my life I've really had to be professional. In high school, you don't really have to be super professional. So that's also been something that I'm super excited for. Of like, even at the warehouse last year, like I was the youngest guy in there. Me and Jackson were the youngest people in there. Yeah. So everybody's like, oh, you're young. But it's just been, it's also, I'm just so excited of like, to be seen in a different way. Yeah. Will be really cool.
What do you think about this, Ty? Is for Cole, like, you know, from his junior year in high school, like I am going to be a D1 football player. And that's been like, that has been his lane. And so it's like in his episode, we talked about how like the past, you know, 4 years for him has been this, like, I am locked in on this journey. And then I'm beginning to realize, oh, like there are other things here. And as he stepped into that, discovering new things about himself. What I think is intriguing about your journey is you're going into your sophomore year of college next year. You've changed your major, but it's like you're not like laser focused on like, this is the thing I have to do. Yeah. Does that give you a sense of kind of like anxiety, of like worry of like, oh, I don't freaking know what my life is, or do you see it more of, is it feel like more of an adventure? If you're kind of like, well, we'll figure it out, see what God has. Do you wish you kind of had a laser focused deal? Because I mean, it's kind of like you're in kind of this uncharted, let's figure it out journey. Like, how does that? What's your take on that?
Yeah, I think like for me on this uncharted, I think definitely some like anxiety comes with it. I've had a little more anxiety even this summer than I normally have. Just making sure I get everything that I need to get done, you know, keeping the Bible study at school going over the summer, working with you, you know, trying to figure out different things that I'm still figuring out, like, you know, when's the best time for me to, you know, go get in the gym and work out. I'm not a morning person, and, you know, I'm already up at, you know, 8 in the morning, and it's like probably not, I'm being honest with myself, I'm not getting up at 6 in the morning every day to go work out, so I got to figure out that still. But funny enough, to put my life in like an analogy of like me and Cole, like I mean, we're at the track right now. Like, I feel like my life is like the road course and Cole's the oval. Like, I got all these S's and all these like divots, like different turns, and, you know, I'm going fast and I'm going really slow. Yeah. And it's like, you know, Cole for the last 4 years has been, you know, never hitting the brakes, you know, all throttle. Then you get in the corner and you got to let off a little bit. And it's like, for me, it's been like, you know, I'm going really fast. It's like, oh, I got to get to this turn. And it's like, I've enjoyed it a lot because I am someone where if I do the exact same thing every single day, I'm going to get bored. Yeah. Like, I'm going to be like, this is.
You need a left turn and a right turn.
Yeah, I need to be able to turn my steering wheel both ways, for sure. Which is just like, some of that's just, you know, that's how God made me.
Yeah. But I think the beautiful is like, I love that analogy, dude. You're really good at analogies. But I remember it made my brain think about, and I've shared this on the podcast before, heard Bob Taylor speak one time. He's the guy that created Taylor guitars. And he was talking on that day that he said early on in life, you've got to discover who God's created you to be. And he said 2 categories I see is there's have to people and there's help do people. And so to bring it to your illustration, it's like there are some oval track people right?
Yeah.
They have to go fast and turn left. Like there is no option. This is what I have to do. Then there's like some road course people where it's like, I can go left, I can go right, like I can go straight for a while, right?
I might end up in the grass. I don't know.
Yeah, I might be in the grass. Who knows? There's not, the wall's not there.
Yeah.
But like what I want to speak into your life, dude, is to be able to not let that be a value comparison. Just let it be an understanding. Like I'm 19. I'm still figuring out, you know, what does it look like to be professional? What does it look like to handle my schedule? What does this look like? And know, like, you know, for somebody that could be maybe made like cool, it's like, no, you go straight and then you turn left, and then you go straight and you turn left, and you do it for 500 miles as fast as you can do it.
Yep.
For you being like, that's cool. That's not how God created me. Like, and there's nothing that's not bad or right or wrong. It's like, I've got to know that this is the way God wired me, and this is the race that I run. This is how I win.
Yeah.
And I'm excited to watch you walk into that, man, and to know that it's like, I mean, the same way I'm excited to see what God does in Cole's life next, but to see it like of you weaving your way through those signposts that God gives you to go like, yeah, no, it's this, and figuring out what is bringing you the most joy, what's bringing you the most fulfillment. And obviously, it comes back to of listening for God's voice of like, no, it's over here.
Yeah.
And I think you've done a phenomenal job in that process. And I'm excited to see, you know, what this summer brings out as even more and more clarity for you.
Yeah, thank you. Like I agree with that. I'm really excited for it. And like you said, like, you know, you're going straight, turning left for 500 miles. I would probably get through about 200 miles and then get bored and wreck my car. It's just how it is. Like, you know, the Grand Prix, you got, you know, 80, 85 laps or whatever it is. And then, you know, you're going through, and it's like you get all these different turns, all these different things. It's like, if I was going, I love racing. This is just an analogy. But if I was going in circles for 500 miles,
Yeah.
that 300 mile mark is, unless I'm like, I don't know, unless I have like Adderall or something, I'm not getting there. Like, unless there's some stimulant to keep me on the track, like it's not happening. I'm getting bored, and then I'm like, you know, stop paying attention. I hit the concrete and it's just whoosh, right up the wall.
Well, yeah, and I'll say this as an encouragement to someone listening or watching. Like, if you're in a parental role, knowing if you have more than one child, knowing that part of your job and the honor you have in raising kids is like discovering as quick as you can, you know, who has God created them to be, and how do you give life to that? Not saying this is exactly how everybody in our family has to be. This is our culture. Like, there are some non-negotiables, like for us, I mean, as far as faith and Christ first and these things. But after that, it's like, man, let's figure out what kind of, you know, mission God's given you, the way He's created you, and let's fan that into flame, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Which I'm excited to see what that looks like, Ty. I'm stoked that we just get to actually hang out all summer long.
I'm really excited.
We're going to have a lot of adventures.
It'll be fun.
Today being one of them, we're shooting podcasts with Indy 500 cars in the background.
Yeah, hopefully people can hear us. That'd be so funny if we had this whole conversation. Every like couple seconds, it's just like, what Daron say though? Like, these points aren't connecting at all, and then randomly you just get an analogy like, yeah, I'm a road course. People are like, what? So I really hope you guys can all hear this, because if not, it's going to make zero sense. That's good. Yeah, thank you for having me, obviously. I always love doing the podcast because I like talking to people. So it's always fun.
Dude, we're going to have a blast this summer. I can't wait for you just to continue to see what's the next left or right turn that God takes you on. And I know you're doing a great job at it. And I'm stoked to be at least be in the car with you.
Yeah. A little two-seater. I think. I don't know. Maybe we're back-to-back. I don't know. We'll figure it out. I don't know. But it'll be fun.
Awesome. Ty, thanks for being back on, man. Appreciate it. Can't wait for this summer. And until we talk again, remember these three things. God is for you, not against you. He's near you, not far away. And He's created you on purpose and for a purpose. Thanks for downloading this episode of the Daron and Ty podcast.